Mr. Chair. It's been great. It's been a real privilege to be on the Select Committee that considered this bill and the three bills that make up this Auckland law reform. Paul Hutchison, not the Honourable yet, but Dr. Paul Hutchison, he wasn't on the Select Committee permanently, but he did come along from time to time and make some very valuable contributions. He was a powerful and strong advocate for the area that he represents, and it was good to have him along. I want to say that the series of three bills really does do a great job in putting the regional back in and lifting things up at the regional level where they need to be, but also putting the local back in and doing things locally. Mr. Chair, I grew up in a place called Te Aratu North, Gloria Avenue, and I wasn't a ratepayer. My parents were, though. Down the road now from where I used to live is a guy called Tau Henare, lives on the same street as my brother. I tell the story for a reason. I used to, as a young guy, go into town on the bus, and we'd go down Point Chevalier Road and up through town. And we'd the big smoke where you'd go on a night out if you were really feeling cool wasn't actually Henderson. It was on a youth group trip. Uncle Darren was driving the bus. Would be into the city. Now, the point of this is this. Actually, we would enjoy the city centre of Auckland, but certainly if you'd asked my parents, they wouldn't have paid for any of the amenities there. They had no interest as ratepayers in West Auckland, but doing the big things that needed to be done in the city centre of Auckland. Actually, this bill changes that. It lets things happen regionally where they need to happen regionally. I think that's very good indeed, whilst also letting places have their local flavours, and that's excellent. I also, another thing, Mr. Chair, judge a city not on, and we know there's been a number of surveys, I think in one of them recently, Auckland is number 4 best city in the world. That's perhaps disputable, but I judge a city when I go to it on the ability to run around the waterfront and see what's happening and get a good feel for a city and enjoy that. And I have to say, and the Herald's picked up on this actually, and Jacinda Ardern has made some good points about the waterfront in Auckland. It's not the best waterfront in this country. Actually, Wellington has an excellent waterfront. Their council's done a fantastic job down here. Actually, in Auckland, whilst there's a lot of opportunity, it's not a great place to live, to work and to play right there in the front. You can get out, I think, where some members go out St Heliers and so on, and there's good runs. But in the centre, there is not. Actually, this bill will allow a CBD with the infrastructure, with the things going on that you need to make a vibrant, positive city, and I think that's a very good thing indeed. Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party have said, well, this bill, no one's been listening, and National hasn't been listening. Well, actually, the Herald has been entirely critical, if you ask me, of the process. They've had a lot to say on this. The National Party's good friend Bernard Ursman's written some fairly hard-hitting articles. But on the day or two after this bill came out, actually I think the Herald really did change. Headline on the front page, 25 May, Super City U-turn, people power wins. People power wins. Now, I don't know if I agree with the Super City U-turn. There was some tweaking, there was some listening, and in response to that listening, there was some changes. But as the Herald said, people power wins, Mr. Chairman, and that's what we've seen here. Their editorial in the same paper on the same day. Changes make Super City plan acceptable. And they went through a number of the changes and the details. I won't bother the House with that. But in the first paragraph, final sentence, they sum it up. But finally, it presents a workable framework for uniting Auckland that should have the support of Aucklanders. And they finish the editorial, the paper's position, the big paper in Auckland, really with a challenge you did. It now falls to Aucklanders to make the super city work.